Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Well, strap in, folks, because Emmanuel Macron just threw a grenade into the European defense debate, and it's been causing quite the stir. Macron recently made headlines by suggesting that French nuclear weapons should be part of the conversation when it comes to European defense. But that's not all. He also saying that credible European defense should go beyond what NATO offers. Talk about shaking up the status quo. Now, Macron isn't pulling any punches here. He's calling for a full-blown debate which would cover everything from missile defense to long-range systems, and yes, even nuclear weapons for those of whom who host American nukes on their soil. That's right, he's bringing out the big guns, and literally so. And let's not forget, France isn't exactly new to the nuclear game. With around 280 warheads and another 10 in reserve, they're sitting pretty comfortably as the fourth nuclear power in the world. That's a lot of firepower. But here's where things got really interesting. France isn't shy about using those nukes if it feels that its vital interests are threatened. That means that the French are not ruling out a first strike against states that dare cross them. It's like playing nuclear poker and Macron's holding all the cards. Of course, not everyone's thrilled about Macron's bold stance. Critics have been accusing him of deflecting attention from France's internal issues by stirring up trouble with NATO and talking about nuclear weapons. But hey, sometimes you gotta shake the tree to see what falls out. And let's face it, when it comes to dealing with Russia's nuclear saber rattling, Macron's approach might just be the wake-up call that we need. By standing up and saying, we've got nukes and we're not afraid to use them, he's flipping the script on Putin's playbook. So whether you agree with Macron or not, you've got to admit he's definitely got everyone talking. And in the high-stakes game of international politics, sometimes shaking things up might just be the right move. Now let's look at the other side of the fence, where Chancellor Olaf Scholz is making some interesting moves. Berlin has become one of the staunchest opponents of the US-led attempts to seize a portion of the approximately $300 billion in assets of the Russian central bank that have been frozen, writes the Wall Street Journal. Germany fears that seizing instead of freezing the funds could set a precedent and trigger new lawsuits against them for crimes from World War II. And if that weren't enough to keep you up at night, Russia has just taken another bold step. By presidential decree, the assets of Bosch and Ariston located in Russia have been put under the management of a Gazprom subsidiary. But wait, there's more. The president of the Belarusian Union of Hunters and Fishermen has revealed that the Ministry of Defense has launched a project to turn hunters and fishermen into snipers. Yep, snipers, ready to carry out military tasks at a moment's notice.
Когда была поставлена задача определить свое место в системе национальной безопасности вот именно тех людей вооруженных, которые сегодня и составляют основу Белорусского общества охотников и рыболовов, на добровольной основе было направлено мною письмо сообщить, кто желает. Но я вам так скажу по секрету, что количество желающих пройти переподготовку по системе снайпер, скажем так, по одной из ВУЗ, то есть военно-учетной специальности, превысило все мои ожидания. Поэтому на сегодняшний день создана и создается система задействования таких специалистов, их переобучения. Министерство обороны этот процесс уже организовало.
Now, at first glance, this might not sound all that serious, but it's just another ominous sign coming out of Belarus about the country's preparations for war. It's like watching a game of geopolitical chess, but instead of kings and queens, we've got politicians and hunter-turned-snipers. As tensions simmer, it's anyone's guess as of how this game will play out. And as always, we'd like to remind you, our dear viewers, that the war in Ukraine is fought beyond just the front lines. Russia is attacking all of Ukraine with missiles and drone strikes on a daily basis. Last night, Russia launched a missile attack on Odessa. And according to the city's mayor, several people have been injured and many have died. The Russian barbarians had even killed a dog. Residential buildings and other civilian infrastructures had also been hit. Odessa's law academy, nicknamed the Harry Potter Castle by the city's residents due to its unusual shape, was one of the targets.
Ну я закрив спиртом. Спірт, ватка, он доктор подивився. Он.
Сейчас я думаю, все нормально, не переживайте. Успокойтесь, все нормально.
Preliminary reports said that an Iskander-M missile with a cluster warhead was used in the attack. The head of Odessa's regional military administration had this to say about it. Such munitions are used to destroy manpower. They pose a threat to people, not to equipment and buildings. Let's face it, Russia is a terrorist state and it is killing innocent civilians all across the country every day. But sure, some people still want to have peace talk with them, and even after such attacks. Have you ever wondered how low Russian propaganda can fall? Well, grab your popcorn and let's have a look together. Very recently, a Russian propagandist claimed that 10-year-olds in Mariupol were able to kill Russian soldiers with knives by stabbing them under their armor.
Наши заходили в Мариуполь и взяли Мариуполь. И вот я, например, тоже сюда приезжала, и все наши бойцы говорят, что в Мариуполе ходили дети, реально прям 10-11-летние дети. И они знали, куда нашему бойцу нужно под бронежилет воткнуть ножи. Эти дети ходили по Мариуполю уже готовыми встречать наших и втыкали ножи прям ровно в печень под бронежилеты. И что вот делать? Типа, ой, нет, ребеночек, я не буду с ним.
Ну, в любом случае.
Here's the terrible thing, though. By saying things like this, Russian propaganda is justifying the murder of Ukrainian children. And while we guess just how many children the Russians have killed in the occupied territory, many countries are still wondering whether to send more weapons to Ukraine or not. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.